we're going to be making a bread maker version of a delicious and soft whole wheat bread. So to this recipe, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of yeast to 1 cup of warm water plus 3 tablespoons. I'm going to just add the yeast in. I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. And I'm also going to add some oil. Now this is going to be olive oil. I'm going to be putting in 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now to that, I'm also going to be adding some honey. Now I put the olive oil in first. It just makes the honey easier to get out. So I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of honey. Now all I'm going to do at this point is just give this mixture a good stir. And just let the yeast kind of start waking up. At this point, I'm just going to take this warm yeast mixture and just put it inside of my bread maker. Now to our wet mixture, we're going to be adding 1.5 cups of wheat flour and 1.5 cups of bread flour. Now, my bread flour is something that I make, and I'm going to list a little video above if you're interested in making your own bread flour. It saves a ton of money. So I'm just going to add this to my wet ingredients. And then I always put in about a tablespoon of this cultured buttermilk. I just think it always makes the bread come out so good. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to start my bread maker and I'm going to put it on the dough cycle. When it's done, I'll bring you back and I'll show you the next step. Now, can you make this bread with 100% whole wheat flour? Yes, you can. I said at the beginning I was going to be making a really soft and delicious bread. So I chose to add a little bit of a more higher gluten bread flour, which is bread flour. And then in addition to that, I'm going to be adding about a teaspoon of pepitas, about a teaspoon of flaxseed, and about a tablespoon of sunflower seeds. So when my bread maker starts beeping, I'm going to add these seeds in at that time. So as you've probably seen from some of my bread making videos, bread making is not an exact science. There's basic things you have to have. You have to have a leavening agent. You have to have a little bit of salt and oil and some different kinds of flour, whatever you like. But after you get those things put together, you really can kind of create the bread that you like. So if you like a bread that has jalapenos in it, or cheese, or seeds, or nuts, if you want to go more on the healthy side or more on the some other type of bread, it's all your decision. That's the real beauty of it. Now I have a couple of bread makers. I have one I really particularly like. It has a preheat cycle. I have trouble pronouncing it. It's like a Jayoshki bread maker. I'm going to link it below if anyone's interested in looking into a bread maker. If you don't own one, they're a great thing to have. It's something people used to use in the 70s and 80s quite a bit, and it's kind of lost its appeal because there's so many things on the market. But I think more people are starting to make their own bread, and a bread maker is a huge time saver. So whether you get a high-end one like I have, or you have just a regular bread maker, they all work really good once you figure out how yours operates. So I'm gonna wait for my little buzzer to go off, my little beeps, and I'm gonna add my seeds and just let my bread do all the work. Okay, so my bread maker started beeping. So all I'm gonna do is open it up, add my seeds, and it'll just start working again. This is gonna make the most amazing bread. So the dough from the bread maker is completely done. I'm going to show you how it looks and how we're going to let it rise the next step. So this is our beautiful dough that we came out with. This is how the bread maker has prepared it. So all I'm going to do is take a large bowl. I'm going to spray it with a little bit of grapeseed oil, not too much. And I'm going to take the bread dough out of the pan. and I want to let it rise another time. Now, typically when you're making bread, you're going to let this rise 3 or 4 times so that the bread ends up, you know, doubling or tripling in size. So this bread has already risen in the bread maker, so we don't really need it to rise 3 or 4 times. I'm gonna let it double or maybe triple, depending. It looks like it's doing really well, but I'm gonna let this rise. I'm gonna cover it with some plastic and put it in a warm place, and then we're gonna get it ready for the pan. So my bread dough is ready. I'm just gonna take a little bit of butter and put this all over the pan. I'm gonna just pour it in and then use a brush to kind of get it all over the sides. And you wanna make sure to butter it really good because you want this bread to come out of the pan easily. You don't wanna have trouble at the end, you know, trying to get your bread out of the pan. So the other thing I do is I just put a piece of parchment paper on the bottom of the pan. Just makes it a little bit easier to get out. All right, so all we're gonna do is take our dough out, and as you can see, it's doubled in size. So this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. Now I'm gonna just kind of break this dough up a little bit. It's a nice fluffy dough now. So this is the way I do my bread. I'm going to take my dough and just kind of make it into a little rectangle. It's really easy. You don't need to roll it. This is easy, fast. It's an easy way to do it. So all I'm gonna do, I want this about the length of my pan. And all I'm gonna do now is just roll the bread up, just like this. Just like this. There we go. Kind of pinch the ends together. Now that side's gonna go down, so it's not really gonna matter. And we're just gonna put this right into our pan, just like that. Now we're gonna cover it with that same piece of plastic, and we're just gonna let this rise now until our bread has risen up. We want it, you know, a couple inches over this pan. And I am gonna put a little bit of oil on this plastic because I don't want it to stick to the bread. All right, so what I'm gonna do is put that over just lightly. Again, I'm gonna put it in a warm spot for about a half hour to 45 minutes. As soon as it's risen, I'm gonna go ahead and take the plastic off and we're gonna bake it. Now, I know this isn't an oat bread, but I do like to put a few oats over the top. I just really like the way it looks. Just like that. Made quite a mess, but it will do. And I'm gonna stick this in the oven. So here is my delicious bread. I am going to take it out of the pan and butter the top, and then I'm gonna let it cool on a wire rack for a little while before cutting it. So let me get a wire rack here. And I'm gonna get this bread cooling a little faster than it would cool if it was, you know, sitting in a hot pan. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut a piece of bread. I'm gonna let the rest of this continue to cool. I kind of like these end pieces. I think they are just so good. How is that? Look at that. Soft. Oh, that is some good looking bread. Let's give it a try. So this bread doesn't even need butter. I'm gonna have a bite of the top of it that's already kind of buttered up. You can see the little seeds inside of it. It just looks amazing. So let's take a nice bite of this. Wow, that's delicious. I mean, delicious. The seeds really add a lot of texture to it. That bread was delicious. I enjoyed every bite, every bite. So if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give me a like, a thumbs up, or ring the bell for future notifications, and I'll see you guys next time. Give this loaf of bread a try. It's very easy to make, and it's very delicious, very hearty, and very healthy. So we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.